This video is an extract from our weekly podcast, which is available right now on our Patreon page at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Or you can wait till next Wednesday when it goes live to everyone. Cheers. Let's move on to Hellblade then. It came out August the 8th on PS4 and PC. It's developed by Ninja Theory and published by Ninja Theory, actually. So they're kind of best known for Heavenly Sword and Enslaved Odyssey to the West. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, I feel like it's an incredibly important game for a number of reasons, right? It explores themes that, video games just don't do. I mean, it's well known by now that it's mental illness and mental health generally. The opening sequence is like a cinematic. You're playing the game, but the credits are appearing kind of dynamically in the world, which is sweet. It's really cool. The first credit is like mental health supervisor or advisor or whatever, before right. Game director or whatever. Storytelling, plot device, it's so good, right? The mental health kind of aspect of the whole story. That's what the whole game is about. Yeah. But it's also interesting to kind of see how they deal with it as a game. I mean, does that kind of Brothers Tale of Two Sons thing where it makes the game tell a story, not just dialogue and the words that they're showing you. The actual game as you're playing it is very important to the story and how it comes across. Thematically, you're hearing voices, okay? Through the whole game, there's whispering voices in her head.
Senua suffers from like a very heavy form of psychosis.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's multiple voices in her head telling her different things.
Yeah, doubting you.
And some encourage you to go forward, some tell you to like, give her, turn back now.
They could have made it like inaudible, just like nonsense, but there's information there always, and it's always like doubtful, exactly that, it's conflicting information, and it's all relative to where you are in the world, so it's not just like randomly different words that they're chucking out there. It's like if you come up to a door, they'll say, don't go through it, don't go through that door, don't go through that door, don't do it, and then as you go to do it, they'll say, what are you doing? Don't go through the door. And they're going to get more panicked and stuff. The way that's implemented is absolutely terrific. It works wonderfully as a storytelling device, as these voices, they're not only your enemy, they're part of you, and they send you a kind of channel in her thoughts. Yeah. What did you think of all that, kind of the way that was implemented, Liam?
I absolutely loved it. Like, the game is heavily recommended to be played with headphones.
Totally.
Because it uses binaural audio, which is like what gives you the illusion of voices going, and they tie that into a gameplay. So when you're in combat, it's not like Arkham Asylum where you get a button prompt telling you if there's an enemy coming behind you. The voices will actually whisper to Senua, and it sounds like it's coming from behind your head. Yeah. If you've got your headphones on, saying like behind you. Yeah. So you have to dodge out the way, but because the voices mess with you, there might not even be an enemy there sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. It's incredible. It's really well done.
What I love about these voices, just to give a little bit more detail, is that you've got all these separate voices coming from different directions, like what Liam was saying, and so the binaural sounds. However, like you've got this main voice, and she's like she feels like a guardian angel.
It's like you're in a monologue.
She's guiding. What I love though is that Senua is being controlled by these voices, and who else is she being controlled by? You, right? Yeah. And the voices address you as the player as well at times. So you feel like you're another voice inside the head, and I love that. I think that's really clever.
She also looks into the camera whenever she's interacting with
the camera.
Exactly. So you really do feel like you're one of these things, one of these driving forces in the head. They also affect you, like you guys were saying. The voices are a source of information, but they're also a source of doubt. Like you don't know whether to trust these voices or not. So there's parts where they're saying jump down, and I'm thinking, do I know? So it already plays tricks on you in that way, and the fact that there's no heads-up display means that you're reliant on these voices creates a great bit of conflict for the player. That's my that's my number one takeaway from that. Okay, it's not the only game I've played this year with themes of mental health. Night in the Woods is a great example of it, probably the best one. What Remains of Edith Finch deals with it as well. You might be thinking, well, I already know games that have been talking about mental health, so is it going to be interesting for me? Is it going to be original? And what I'm saying is, yeah, it is. So
my god, yeah.
So it does something very different. It's very immersive. It's very, very realised in a way that you can see from the camera's kind of just behind it. Like it's kind of claustrophobic. Yes. And like it adds to the sense of, I don't want to say anxiety, but
it's like the game's designed to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it totally is.
As a representation of psychosis.
It even gets meta with it. So there's well-known big documentation in articles and stuff about it deletes your save files, because at the beginning of the game it tells you, if you take this too far,
you lose all progress.
Which all I'd say is, if that is a cause for concern, don't worry about it. Jump in and enjoy the game. That's why I think it's such an important game, because it does what Brothers did, where it's got this theme and this topic, and that is completely part of what the gameplay is and what the game is, right? Tackling an issue that, that doesn't get covered that much. Everyone has experienced it or encountered it in some form, by through family or personally or whatever, or friends. Obviously it's a very extreme case of it. It's an issue that is interesting. Storytelling wise, it's absolutely phenomenal. Whatever you imagine this could be like, how's it dealing with mental health? You're probably seeing things that aren't really there or something. That is so shallow of an assumption that it goes far beyond that.
Well, the fact that they've consulted with somebody who works with mental health, you already know that it's not going to be the glorification of mental health. It's not going to be
not at all,
Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, where it's like, ooh, people who've got mental health all dress up as their mum and kill people. You can tell that they're dealing with it in a subtle and nuanced way. They're not glorifying it. They're not making it a gimmick either. It is a main feature of the game.
It keeps adding stuff, okay, and it keeps throwing more things at you. Literally, you start feeling Senua's kind of, oh my god, how am I going to get this? Is too much. I took that at first as a criticism. I was like, there's too much here. This is not fun. And then I was like, it shouldn't be fun. She's struggling. She's walking through hell, like literally.
I had the same experience with the voices. At one point, I was like, my god, these voices are getting annoying.
Yeah.
So I took my headphones off and had like a 10-minute break, and it dawned on me, like, that's genius.
Yeah,
I can't imagine what Senua must be feeling if that's all she hears 24/7.
Exactly, it's exactly that. Everything is pointed towards this theme of Senua is struggling, it's mental health. Senua herself as a character is terrific because she is terrified and very vulnerable, and there's a lot for her to deal with. But she's also just like fierce and she's just like, I've got to fucking deal with this shit. Fights her way through it, which is again part of the story, part of the theme, part of who she is as a character. It's terrific. It's an excellent achievement. I don't think critics have been warm enough on it for my liking. I think the Metascore is like 82.
It's creeping up.
There's a point to it and a clarity to it that isn't getting enough praise for my liking. That it's being reviewed as a video game, as a fun video game. Don't want to sound like a twat here, but I'm gonna. As a piece of art. Yes, Mike, you do.
No. I'm saying it. This is where shit like a walking simulator. There's no interactive gameplay like in terms of combat or puzzles. It's just a story.
Yeah.
So you can focus on the story. Hellblade has got this story that's so strong and revered, and you can see that. Anyone watching this video, just go on Google. You can see that. There's these things that add to it to make it a game, which you'd argue is really using the strength of the medium of a game. It's not a film. It's a game. You are suffering. You feel like you are living through her. That is one of the powers of video games, but it's kind of acting as a distraction, isn't it? A little bit to these critics. I think there's people that have been saying, love the action, love the puzzles, love the combat, but the walking's a bit boring. And then there's people who are more like my side of things, where it's like, I love the story, love where it's going. It's slowing down a bit by the fact that I've got to fight these people and do these annoying puzzles. And there's people that love one, and there's people that love the other, and there's some people that love both.
They've taken all these the elements of like walking simulator, proper Ninja Theory, Devil May Cry style, like slasher kind of vicious combat, and they've it's just intertwined it to tell and give an experience. That is super important about this game, because it's a $30. It's like a budget title. It's like, I don't know how much it is in America, but it's like £30 here, isn't it? It's not
$24.99. It is.
Yeah, $25.
$24.99. So it's like, and they've called it independent AAA, and they've had this target and this ambition for what they want to do, and they've essentially made an indie game with indie principles and indie, like, we don't need skill trees, we don't need multiplayer, we're just going to make this experience. It looks AAA, it sounds AAA.
AAA production values.
That's why I think it's so important, because it shows that is a feasible thing. You don't need to be a $60 game or like an $11.99 bargain bin indie game.
It's in a very particular position.
Yeah.
I feel that might be a hindrance though. It looks AAA and it feels AAA. People are reviewing it like it's a AAA game.
Yes.
You make your indie game look so good, rather than be revered as like a wild good indie game, people are going to be going, but it's not got the open world of Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's a damn shame. And that's the one thing that I'm seeing about these reviewers, and I'm going, they've worked so hard, and that is what they get. They get, compared to the EA budgeted game, you're not quite hitting the mark.
That's the beautiful thing about the price, isn't it? I don't think you can feel ripped off at £25. It's 6.5 hours, but Christ almighty, how many AAA like first-person shooters have given us 4 5-hour campaigns?
COD campaigns.
For fuck's sakes, man.
3 hours.
And I think Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice is an achievement. It's a great game. It's a great product. They should be very proud of themselves as a studio. I really hope it doesn't get overlooked in kind of when it comes to awards and Game of the Year kind of stuff, because it does something so unique in many ways by the themes, what it is as a product, like 25 quid, but it's a bit of, it takes elements from both indie and AAA. The way it's ingrained combat into storytelling, I think it might become something of a cult thing after a while. Like people will say, remember Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice? That was good.
It's going to be the bar. When you're doing a game with binaural sound or sound design, you've got this to live up to. If you're doing an indie game with good graphics, you've got this to live up to. It's the bar for a lot of high-end indie. This is about as high-end as you can get. They've just plunked it into the ocean with EA and all that, and you see that's where it's landed. And
it's a very intense and emotionally complicated fish, and therefore one of the best fish. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it won't get the attention because there's bigger, fatter fish that look prettier.
Whales with their shark cards.
Anyway, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's a terrific game, and it needs to be.
Play it. It's a great game.
Simple as that. Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching this podcast extract. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to see a new gaming video from us every day, and remember to check out Patreon if you want the full podcast right now. We'll see you next time.